Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather the next 10 to 14 days. For today's video, day 10 will take us to the 9th of February, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. Wait runs around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. It gets us to the end of February. I should get on that for you in a moment. Just say that first. The video today was our 6am UK weather forecast, and we'll also release the EC extended forecast, well, the EC 30-day/46-day forecast. So check out those two vids if you'd like to do that. Like, share, and subscribe on all today's videos and content. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, we're going to start off with the stratosphere today. I haven't looked at that for a little while, but we've got StratWatch coming up tomorrow, so I don't want to do too much on this. But we might be seeing some more signs of going on our next SSW chase. So this is how the temperature is currently looking at 10 HPA over the Arctic and over the North Pole. These deep blue colours here, that is the polar vortex at its roots in the stratosphere, still in business. Despite all of the various warmings and displacement events and things that have been going on in this winter, PV is still there. Again, displaced though from its more regular position, actually over the top of the pole. Looks relatively warm with those temperatures. Well, not warm, but a little bit above average anyway with the temperature there. Well, we see those blue colours sort of reforming over the next week or so. So over the next week, polar vortex, if anything, going to start getting its act together and, you know, becoming a little bit more well formed. However, as we go into extended range, look at this warming happening over Siberia and Russia. So quite a significant stratospheric warming event beginning to start gathering pace there over Russia and Siberia, causing another displacement event of the polar vortex. That's up to the 15th of February. That is short of an SSW up to that point. It wouldn't be certainly not splitting the vortex, but it's displacing it. And I doubt that will be enough to reverse the zone of wind up to that point either. But the GFS has been quite consistent with a fairly significant warming of the stratosphere beginning to start taking place through into that middle part of February. So let's wait and see where things go. Of course, it will go further on, as it keeps going further on, you know, through February, even into March. The risk of an SSW will be increasing. They always happen later in the winter compared to earlier in the winter. Well, they do sometimes happen early in winter, but, you know, the risk generally increases as winter goes along. So let's wait and see. Could that be the SSW that properly splits the vortex and reverses the zone of wind? We should keep you updated. We're going to have a lot more on that with StratWatch tomorrow. StratWatch will be back tomorrow. Right, Arctic oscillation observed and forecast. So the black line shows where we've been with the Arctic oscillation. Red lines at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. At the moment, we're positive with the AO, and forecasts go even more positive actually over the next few days. But we do see a reduction in the Arctic oscillation as we go through the first week into the second week of February. Actually going slightly onto the negative side there with the AO. So remember, when the AO is positive, we've got low pressure above the Arctic and over the North Pole. When the AO goes negative, we've got high pressure blocking over the Arctic and the pole. And of course, blocking is the route getting colder out of the pole and down into mid latitudes. It does depend where that blocking is sitting, though, as to who gets cold from it. So, of course, the Northern Hemisphere is a big place, so not everywhere can get cold pushed out via the blocking. Some places will be on the mild side of the block, some places will be on the cold side of the block. But we do see the AO there going into a more negative scenario in the more extended range of GFS ensembles. The NAO looks like that. So again, we're pretty positive with the NAO at the moment. We see the NAO coming down and reverting back close to neutral, really, NAO neutral conditions as we go through the first week into the second week of February. Both of the indexes are reducing from a very positive scenario. Of course, this positive scenario that we've got for both the AO and the NAO at the moment is what's helping to keep things very mild. You know, it's very mild west-southwesterly type setup that we got. We see that through the indexes there. But we could well be seeing signs at least cooler and more unsettled conditions, really, as we push on through from the first week into the second week of February. And possibly it could go cold. We'll have to wait and see. Central temperature is now sitting at 4.6, that's 0.8 of a degree above 61 to 1990 average, up a visual to yesterday, to the 29th of January. I think this is going to finish up at 4.8, which will be about a degree above the 61 to 1990 average, I think. These were GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We're going to Exeter today. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Exeter, the home of the UK Met Office. We're on the up with the upper air temperatures over the next week. They're going to be very mild as we go from January into February. We do see the upper air temperatures coming down, though, through the second week of February. And we have got some quite cold ensemble members in there through that second week of February. Equally, we've got ensemble members that keep things mild, though, up here. So there's a lot of scatter, a lot of uncertainty as we look ahead into the second week of February. But it's actually a bit of a cool down, anyway, even if it doesn't go particularly cold. Precipitation-wise, it's going to be mainly dry over the next few days as well, Exeter, but also turning more unsettled into the second week of February. Now, what about snow, Row? Not much doing there from a snow perspective over the next couple of weeks. Well, that's Exeter, so down in the southwest of the country. If we look to, for example, at Birmingham, looks a little bit more encouraging there. But again, not that many snow spikes even for Birmingham, to be honest. So the snow drought for this winter looks like it's set to continue, at least across lowland southern parts of England. Temperature anomalies from the 30th of January, 7th of February, above average, going to be by a week to come across most parts of Europe. Again, precipitation anomalies from the 30th of January, 7th of February, drier than average in the south and southwest, but a bit wetter than average as we look further northwards. The latest info map from earthnullschool.net shows that we've got high pressure to our south today, but another quite active area of low pressure is up to the north. And that could be bringing some severe gales, actually, to the far north of the country into tonight and tomorrow. Right, let's start going through chart data then. This is our latest UK Met Euro run. It's looking midnight on Friday. High pressure is to our south, low pressure to the north, and we're bringing in these mild or very mild southwesterly winds. And they carry on through Saturday and on into Sunday as well, staying mild right the way up, actually, to next Tuesday with high pressure again to south, low pressure to the north, and bringing up those southwest winds. Not much sign of anything cold in there through to the beginning of next week. I can't again with high pressure south, low pressure north on Friday, dragging up those southwest winds. They carry on through the weekend and into next week as well. Cold air just trying to get into the far north of Scotland there through Tuesday, but really being held at bay by these southwesterlies continuing. So Icon keeps it mild up to next Tuesday anyway, which is the 6th of February. The KMA looks like that. Again, high pressure south, low pressure to the north, keeping things mild or very mild through to the start of next week. Then turns more unsettled and eventually starts to get a bit colder as well. So this low pressure diving southwards, got some quite cold air to the north of it. So much more unsettled anyway for next week with the KMA, turning properly wet and windy. And starting to get a bit cold as well, especially so up in the north, although that cold is not supported by any sort of northern brightness, so I doubt it will last all that long. But yes, certainly a cooler and very unsettled week next week, if that's correct. The GFS midnight run again with those west-southwest winds wafting in on Friday, looking very mild there. Those very mild conditions carry on into the weekend as well. Bit of a cold incursion coming into the north to the start of next week. That's midnight Monday, and colder northwesterly winds starting to get into the north through the early part of next week. Battle lines drawn a little bit by midnight on Tuesday, so the northern half of the country looking cold, southern and southwestern half of the country looking generally mild, and in between we've got, you know, a mix of upper air temperatures. Very quickly, that cold air is retreating away, though, is retreated, whatever the word is, by these milder winds coming in, rescinded, he said, coming in from off the, I should have gone off on that tangent, should I? But anyway, but mild air sort of retreats away very quickly by the mid of next week with these milder upper air temperatures coming in from off the Atlantic, and heading up toward day 10, look very unsettled, low pressure back in control with long fetch southwesterly winds, so turning wet but also very mild through the second week of February. Nothing cold in there. Actually quite stormy by Saturday the 10th of February with that area of low pressure, but LU's back in business again the second week of February on the GFS Big Night Runs. These areas of low pressure come crushing in from off the Atlantic. That's how we end up with GFS Big Night Runs. Some higher pressure towards Scandinavia there, but still being held at bay by these southwesterly winds and low pressure in the Atlantic. That'll be a very mild first half to February, actually, if that came up. And we've got GFS 6Z latest up to now with high pressure getting south, low pressure north on Friday. No, you've guessed it, we keep those west-southwesterly winds pumping in through the weekend into the beginning of next week. Something a little bit cold again coming into Scotland with those northwesterly winds. That's how we look with the upper air temperatures midnight next Tuesday on the GFS 6. And again, battle lines are drawn through the country. Cold air's into the northern half of the country. Mild air are still sitting down to the south. It's more of a struggle to get those mild upper air temperatures through the country, actually through the middle part next week. Cold air is still bare up in the north of the northeast. And what actually happens on the GFS 6 then is that a block begins to form up towards Iceland. That starts to block off the Atlantic and begins to see the cold air winning the battle as next week goes along. So the northern half of the country stays in cold air through the week. In the south, it is a relatively mild week with spells of rain, but there would be a divide, you know, where there could be some snow. That probably be through northern England on that particular scenario. But of course, the battle lines could be drawn further north or south of that. But eventually, that cold air begins to come southwards, even into southern parts of the country. So this is Saturday the 10th of February, with those colder air temperatures beginning to sink right way through the country. We get wind into the east, actually, by Sunday the 11th of February. A long way out now, but we've got a proper easterly push through there with really quite bitter cold upper air temperatures actually sitting to our east. So turning much colder with the GFS 6 there, and potentially quite windy as well. There could be some snow down into south with this area of low pressure sitting around Biscay. And the GFS 6 said generally keeps it cold right way up to the very end of it. So uncertainty within the GFS operations and its ensembles as well as to just what is going to happen next week. If you're enjoying the video, please give like, share and subscribe. Make sure you everyone for doing that. Why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this or my video. Don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Show everybody for doing that. We need to put on around 55 subscribers to get ourselves to 17.9k, 17,900 subscribers. So if you could give us a sub and tell your friends and family to subscribe, that would be incredible. Thanks so much everybody for doing that. We're trying to get to 18k before the end of the winter. No, thank you so much everybody. Right, okay, GM, again with high pressure to our south, low pressure to the north on Friday. Those west-southwest winds may carry on into the weekend and into the early part of next week as well. Some cold air just trying to drop into the far north through the early part of next week, but really those southwest winds are dominant, and so there's not even really a sniff of anything cold doing through next week with the GM. We just keep these areas of low pressure coming with their southwesterly winds, so increasingly unsettled, yes, next week, increasingly wet. The deluge may be coming back, but nothing cold doing there with the GM. And then finally, for these charts, we've got the ECMWF again. Oh, you've guessed it, for Friday, high pressure, it's our south, low pressure, it's to the north, and we're bringing in those very mild southwest winds, and they carry on through the weekend as well, and into the beginning of next week too. There is a bit of an attempt to get some cold air to the far north of Scotland. See the allegation and the isobars there. So to the north of that, we have got some quite cold air, but it doesn't make it any further southwards than northern Scotland, and many pushed away by those southwest winds coming up all the way from the Azores through the early part of next week. There's the upper air temperatures looking very mild through the early part of next week with the ECM. ECM does turn increasingly unsettled through next week with low pressure again, bringing spells of wet, windy weather in from off the Atlantic as the week goes on, but keeps it mild with wind in from a southwesterly direction all the way up to day 10. So that GFS 6 idea of turning things colder next week, increasingly cold and wintry next week, looks a little bit isolated, I have to say, within the rest of the model output. Maybe you say the KMA might be slightly in that direction, but that's really the only one. The rest of the models are generally looking really quite mild through next week. Right, this is Precipitation Forecast based on that ECM run from Temp.com. Got some rain coming southwards over the next couple of days, and then high pressure is back to the south, low pressure to the north. That brings wet weather, of course, with those southwest winds into western Scotland and possibly into Ireland as well. It could be a wet pattern there, but anywhere further south and east of that should have quite a bit of dry weather. And then into next week, an increasingly unsettled look to the weather as the week goes along. Now we finish up looking quite wet and windy there by day 10. These are the options on the table within the ECM Ensembles today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office. It gets us to the 9th of February. 20 members of the ECM Ensembles have deep low pressure away to our northwest with high pressure over France, and that will be bringing the wind from a southwesterly direction, so mild, wet and windy at day 10. There, 17 with high pressure reaching up from the south through the western side of Europe, mostly dry with that, and probably quite mild as well, bringing the wind from southwest, so it's not that far away from getting some colder air in from the north, but I think probably stay quite mild with that. And then 14 with low pressure, deep low pressure right over top of coast. That's even more unsettled. Deluge back with that one, and generally quite mild too. So most of the options are looking pretty mild there, I think, at day 10. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. It will get us to the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. 20 members of the ECM Ensembles with a mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland and a trough of low pressures over top of the coast. That could be starting to turn things a bit colder into that trough of low pressure. It is unsettled as well back. Now, I've got 11 that are turning things properly cold by this point. High pressure from Iceland back to Scandinavia, low pressures through France, and that will bring the wind in from an easterly direction. Now, that's only generally genuinely cold and wintry. We've got 8 with low pressure to our northeast, high pressure in the Atlantic. That's unsettled and cool with winds on the northwest-southeast alignment. We've got 6 with high pressure to the southwest, but also to the northeast as well. So, most anticyclone could be a bit chilly. And then we've got another 6 here with a mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland. And a trough of low pressure is to our east, and that will bring the wind in from a north or a northeasterly direction. So that could be quite cold and wintry as well. So day 10, things looking generally quite mild. By day 14, we might be seeing signs of things going colder, but that, of course, is a long, long, long way off. Right, CFS V2, and then we're done. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please you like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. Now, these are 500 millibar heights on breaking down to week periods. The first week period takes from the 30th of January to the 5th of February. The next week we'll see high pressure set to the south, low pressure will be to the north, and winds will be coming in from a mild west to southwesterly direction. Week 2 is going to be the 6th, 12th of February, low pressure in over Scandinavia, high pressure pulling out into the Atlantic. That's much more unsettled and potentially cooler as well, with winds in from the northwest. Week 3 is going to be the 13th to the 19th of February, with high pressure again just out to our west. So that's going to be mainly dry, but could be a bit on the chilly side. Winds perhaps coming in from something of a northerly direction. And then week 4 is the 20th, 26th of February. High pressures in over the top of the country. Mainly dry there as we come to the end of February. Probably frost and fog, that sort of thing, but not overly cold. So we shall wait and see. It will all be revealed over the coming days, and we shall see. Okay, if you enjoyed the video, please you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. Don't forget to drop a comment. Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And tell your friends and family about GavsWeatherVids. Ask them to subscribe to. You can watch GavsWeatherVids together, and who will want to do that, help to get us to 18k. Well, 17.9k, but ultimately 18k before the end of winter. Thanks so much, everyone, for doing that. Right, just tell you what's happening on the channel tomorrow. We're going to have the 6am UK weather forecast. We'll have Stratwatch, that's back tomorrow. I think we might have a look at the JMA seasonal model before the end of the month, last day of the month tomorrow, of course. So I think we'll squeeze in a little extra video, and that will be looking at the JMA seasonal model, and we'll be live at 6 p.m. I'll be live streaming 10 to 14 days, so I shall see you tomorrow evening around 6 o'clock for that one. Is that a date? Hope so. It's about as close as I get to having a date these days. But anyway, you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and for this one though, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.